I was out there for a little bit, but man, you guys are out there all summer, getting beat up, getting arrested, getting shot at, getting gassed, getting yelled at, and I mean, all for the truth. And look, I'm sure you're making some money. You ain't making $1 million doing this. We know that for facts. You're doing this for the love of the job, which is truth and spreading the truth. Just speculation. I mean, if you were the jury, what would you say? Did it look like self-defense to you? Total speculation. Richie, maybe your boss won't let you answer this one. I don't know.
Well, I mean, personally, I can't. It looks like I will probably have to testify, and so I won't say anything beyond what I saw, which is Rosenbaum chase Rittenhouse and lunge for the front portion of his rifle, and Rittenhouse dodge that lunge and then shoot 4 shots, and that's what I saw. And then I didn't even realize that it was Kyle who ran up behind me afterwards. I just yelled, "Call 911" to the pair of legs that showed up, and I didn't even realize it was him until afterwards in the footage. But
wild.
Yeah, that's all I can say, and I can't. That's my role here is to be a witness and not anything beyond that. So.
And what's crazy about that is like just watching you guys, I had more context, right? Like I was watching somebody else streaming at the gas station, watching the guy become the N-word guy with the screaming and the violence and the threats and the clearly looking aggressive, clearly wanting something to happen, right? Like he looked like he was an agitator. And being able to piece it together from different people and stuff, it's fascinating. But as we've learned, video doesn't even tell the whole story sometimes, as weird as that is, right? We thought, I think, once upon a time that if something was caught on video, then that was actually what happened. But we can see, man, context and what happened 5 seconds before and what happened 5 seconds after. All these things make a huge difference. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about with regards to Kenosha? It's heavy. It's historic. It's epic. Incredible. We can move on because I have a couple of other things to talk about. But
I think the only thing I would want to say just quickly in terms of like my personal experience with it is, everybody has their own perspective on what's the best politics for America, gun control and protests and police reform, all that stuff. There's human suffering that's going on, and it's not just the people who are dying like at these chaotic events, but it's also the reasons why people are going out there in the first place. And through all this stuff, like it's very rare in the media that people ask that question. And so what is the suffering that's causing people to go into the streets from both sides of the political spectrum, and what is the suffering that's causing people to try to lunge for somebody's gun? And that's for me the thing that's stuck with me the most.
That's touching. That's touching. One second. That's a mature, respectful position to take, man. And given all the things that you've seen, all the different answers and comments you could have given right then. I mean, I really appreciate that comment, and it's true, man. Those questions need to be asked. People's assessments of root causes may vary. And some people may be wildly off in their assessment as to why there is this suffering that you're talking about. But there is no question that it exists. Thanks for that. I appreciate that, Richie. Brandon?
One thing that really stuck out for me was seeing the dynamic of who is out there. With Kenosha, something felt so different. It literally felt like you have people actually like from this community as well as people that came in from other towns, but it was so much more of a mix. You were used to some of these protests where it's like, oh, it's this one group, and it's this group that we constantly see now every single week, and they've been in this same town doing this, whether it be in Portland or DC, whatever it might be. With Kenosha, it felt so different because it was like you saw people that were just like casually dressed at times, as well as like the black bloc. you saw people that were taking up arms to defend businesses, which wasn't that common in all these cities. There were definitely some places where it came up, but I had never quite seen that level of it. And seeing that in what was a smaller town, I mean, it still has a nearly 100,000 population, but it's not a big city. And it was just like really stunning to see that happen in a not huge city in America, and the way that like this was still a pretty massive event, and it still brought quite a huge variety of people on very broad ends of the political spectrum all out to the streets at the same time, and the way that they were mixing and mingling at times violently, that, to Richie's point, was like a sign of just the amount of hurt and the amount of pain that was out there. And that came, I think, both for like the reasons why people were protesting in the first place, and the reaction to the riots, the reaction to things getting burned down. So you just ended up with all these people out there that are all angry about something, or all trying to fight for something, all simultaneously. And it wasn't even necessarily these organized groups that, in other cities may organize and put together this, huge big protests under their name. Here it was like this like groundswell of all these people just like all came to the same area at the same time. And that ended up being a very volatile mix. And just to see it happen in a town like that was just something that will definitely always stick with me. And it was difficult in the aftermath of it, trying to process everything that had happened, because that level of violence I really hadn't witnessed prior. So I struggled a bit in those days after and in the weeks, especially, later that week, once I finally had some time to breathe. I remember just thinking like, holy crap, should I have even been out there? Like, should I have even been throwing myself into a situation like that? I started to feel a little bit guilty of it. Like, am I supposed to be adding one more body there? Just so volatile. But overall, obviously the journalistic importance prevailed, and I, wanted to continue to do these stories. But it's something that I struggled with after, and I, did some self-reflection and trying to figure out what my place was in all of this reporting and, going to these situations, because I realized the power of telling those stories, and trying to figure out how exactly I want to go about doing that was something that I really had to do some reflection on after Kenosha.
Man, you guys are great. I really appreciate it. This is a very, very mature, thoughtful conversation with a lot of self-reflection, and that's incredible. I mean, I really do appreciate that. I mean, you witness people getting killed. Like, you saw the dead people laying on the ground, body parts missing, blood gushing. I mean, are you guys carrying anything from that? I mean, it's like, thank God you weren't the victim there, but like, let's be real. Observing and participating and being in that environment, it could cause a little bit of trauma. Are you guys carrying anything with that? Did you guys have any fallout from that, from being right there at the scene of such a momentous, awful thing, tragedy?
It's kind of come in waves a bit. Initially that first month after was really tough. And then afterwards, other things happen in life and you don't necessarily think about it every day. But when it comes up and when I actually like dig into the details on it, which I try not to do too often just because it is very heavy, there's definitely still something there. There's definitely still a little bit of heaviness there with that one, more so than just about anywhere else, I would say. Other cities reflecting on, it doesn't have that same sort of feeling in the pit of your stomach that Kenosha brings.
Richie?
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, it's like the moments after, like it was, Brendan was saying it was so surreal, but I could, the smell, like I've been around guns a little bit since then. And just the smell like brings me back to one thing, which is like, I hate those videos because of the sound of my voice and like how, clearly panicked I am. And I think like the reason why I don't like to hear that is because it's like um, the chaos, you know, and it's just like I think it's hopeless. Um, and all we can do now, I mean, I just take some purpose in the fact that all you can do is like keep your head up and try your best to at least get some semblance of a silver lining from that. What lessons can we learn? And you know, that's why I don't like talking about this stuff, and I don't like recalling what happened. And actually, like the first hit that I did on Tucker afterwards, I intentionally avoided the video, and they played the audio. My IFB was so loud, it like I had like 20 people who were vets and EMTs and stuff like, yo, you had the 1,000-yard stare, you need to talk to somebody. But I think, you know, it's our responsibility to talk about what happened that night, because that's the only way that like, I think the country can like heal from it, is to really understand what happened and why. And so I really, to be completely honest, like I haven't really given myself an opportunity to even really like, think about anything beyond what my role is now, which is like just to relay what I saw. And you know, I think about it the same way that I think about losing my pops, which is like he's gone, but all the people that he you know, touched over the course of his life, the decisions that they make in the future in some ways are affected by him. And so all I can do, he saw more blood and guts than anybody that I knew. You know, he was an ER doctor for 30 years, and he hated watching violent movies. But one thing that he had was a calm under those kind of situations, you know, and that's what made him good at what he did. And so I guess, you know, I just try to draw some strength from that. And my brother's an ER doctor now too. And so thank God they took up the family business, because I wasn't going to make it through 4 years of med school.
And another 8 years of residency, my friend. My mother is an emergency room doctor as well, too. She's told me stories of cracking open people's chests and massaging their hearts and keeping them alive. It's insane. But kudos to you guys, especially I can relate 100% to the hearing your voice and hearing the actual panic in your voice at the time when everything is going down. I had similar circumstances when I'm watching my city get burned down and people looting, like looking me in the eyes and running in to go loot the stores and stuff. And I'm like, what can I do? Like it was me against 1,000 people. There was nothing I could do. And the pain that I had for seeing, well, when you experience an environment of lawlessness, it's very disturbing. It's very disturbing. When you see crimes being committed wantonly with no repercussions whatsoever, it is disturbing. A breakdown in like civil society is disturbing to participate in, observe, and be around. It's really unsettling. And when you live stream, you're not just showing what you're doing and reporting on the scene. You're part of it because you're live. You're live and you're experiencing it, and things happen and you react in real time. So you guys should be commended for sharing a little bit of yourselves with the world and paying a price for the reporting you did with a little piece of your soul. I mean, there's no question. I don't mean to make it too heavy, but like you guys are going to remember this for the rest of your life. And it's going to be part of the story for the rest of your life. So you guys should really be commended for that. Congratulations. I am honored to be talking to you guys. I remember back then, Scott Adams tweeted out one night, like, Jack Murphy and Andy No just killed mainstream media forever. You guys' names need to be on that list, at the top of that list as well, because you're doing the work that none of those guys are doing. This is true journalism. It's true. It's bravery. It's courage. It's self-reflective. It's humble and honest. And it's been an honor talking to you guys.